If you want to be richer than 98% of people in America, you don't need luck. You need leverage. And one of the greatest forms of leverage in human history is a book. Think about it. For $1.20, sometimes even free from a library, you can download decades of experience from billionaires, investors, psychologists, Navy SEALs, negotiators, and world-class performers directly into your brain. The average American reads less than one book a year after high school. Meanwhile, CEOs read 50 to 60 books a year. That gap is the wealth gap. If you master the ideas from the right books, not just read them, but apply them, you will think differently. You will act differently. And eventually, you will earn differently. Today, we're going through 40 books that can change your financial future. These are not random picks. These are books that have shaped millionaires, founders, investors, and high performers across the United States. Let's begin. The first book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book changes how you see money forever. It teaches one core lesson. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Most people grow up believing that a high-paying job is the ultimate goal. But this book explains the difference between assets and liabilities in a way that rewires your brain. Your house is not necessarily an asset. Your car is definitely not an asset. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. Once you understand that concept, you stop buying to impress people and start buying to build freedom. Next is The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley. This book destroys the myth of what a millionaire looks like in America. Most millionaires are not flashy. They don't drive Ferraris. They don't wear designer logos. They live below their means. They invest consistently. They avoid lifestyle inflation. The lesson here? Wealth is what you don't see. If you spend everything you earn, you might look rich. But if you invest consistently for 20 years, you will be rich. Now let's talk about mindset. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book is almost 100 years old and still relevant. It teaches that wealth begins in the mind. Desire, faith, persistence, mastermind groups. These principles built empires long before social media existed. In the United States especially, opportunity is everywhere. But without belief and clarity of purpose, most people drift. This book forces you to find exactly what you want and commit to it emotionally. Next, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is one of the most important modern books on wealth. It explains that money is not just math, it's behavior. Two people with the same income can end up in completely different financial situations based on their habits, patience, and emotional control. If you learn to avoid ego, spending, control risk, and play the long game, you automatically separate yourself from 90% of the population. Now let's talk investing. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. This is the investing Bible. It teaches value investing, buying great companies at reasonable prices, and holding them long-term. It introduces a concept of Mr. Market, reminding you that the stock market is emotional, but you don't have to be. This book heavily influenced one of the greatest investors of all time, Warren Buffett. And if it shaped Buffett, it deserves your attention. Next, Atomic Habits by James Clear. You don't become rich from one big decision. You become rich from small habits repeated daily. Saving automatically. Reading 10 pages a day. Exercising discipline. Improving 1% daily. This book shows you how tiny changes compound, just like money does. And speaking of compounding, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy teaches the same principle in financial and personal terms. Success isn't about doing something massive once. It's about doing something small, consistently for years. Now let's shift to entrepreneurship. The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. In America, innovation creates wealth. This book teaches how to build businesses without wasting years or millions of dollars. Test quickly. Validate ideas. Fail fast. Adjust. Instead of betting everything on one idea, you experiment intelligently. Then there's 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. This book is about creating something new, not competing in crowded markets. Going from 0 to 1 means building a monopoly, not being another competitor. In today's U.S. economy, innovation pays exponentially. If you can solve a unique problem at scale, wealth follows. Now, let's talk about persuasion and influence. Because income often depends on how well you communicate. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Almost every successful entrepreneur, salesperson, or executive in America has read this book. It teaches timeless principles. Listen more than you talk. Make people feel important. Avoid criticism. Use names. Show genuine interest. Your network determines your net worth. And finally for today, let's talk about discipline. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This isn't just about money. It's about mental toughness. Because here's the truth. Building wealth is hard. It requires long hours, sacrifice, delayed gratification, rejection. Most people quit when it gets uncomfortable. If you can build extreme discipline, physically, mentally, emotionally, you instantly put yourself ahead of 98% of people. Now pause for a second. If you truly applied the lessons from just these first books, mastering assets, living below your means, controlling emotions, investing wisely, building habits, innovating, communicating effectively, and developing discipline, your financial trajectory would completely change. And we're just getting started. There are 30 more books coming that will upgrade your thinking about business, investing, productivity, negotiation, leadership, and building generational wealth in America. Because remember, information alone doesn't make you rich. Applied knowledge does. And in the next section, we're diving deeper into the books that teach you how to multiply income, dominate your field, and build financial systems that work even while you sleep. Now that we built the foundation, mindset, habits, investing basics, discipline, it's time to level up because reading about money is step one. Learning how to multiply it, that's where the real separation happens. Let's continue. One of the most powerful wealth books ever written is The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. This book challenges the traditional American dream of working 40 years and retiring at 65. Instead, it introduces the idea of lifestyle design, building automated income streams, outsourcing low-value tasks, and creating location freedom. The biggest lesson? Your time is more valuable than your salary. If you can separate income from hours worked, you unlock true leverage. Next is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Simple, ancient, powerful. The core principle: pay yourself first. Save at least 10% of everything you earn. Invest wisely. Avoid debt traps. Seek advice from those skilled in handling money. In modern America, where credit cards and consumer debt are normal, this principle alone can change your life. Now, let's talk about personal responsibility. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. This book teaches one powerful idea. Everything is your responsibility. Your income, your skills, your health, your failures. Blame keeps you average. Ownership makes you powerful. In business and investing, excuses cost money. Accountability builds empires. Now let's move into deep work and focus. In today's distracted world, focus is a superpower. Deep Work by Cal Newport explains how the ability to focus without distraction is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. The more rare and valuable your skill set becomes, the more money you can command. Scrolling social media won't make you rich. Mastering high-income skills will. Next is Sales and Persuasion at a higher level. Influence by Robert Cialdini. If you understand psychology, you understand money. This book breaks down principles like reciprocity, scarcity, authority, and social proof, concepts used by top marketers and billion-dollar brands across the United States. Whether you're selling products, pitching investors, or negotiating salary, influence is income. Now let's talk about negotiation. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This book teaches negotiation strategies used in high-stakes FBI hostage situations. Apply to business and life. Every raise, every deal, every contract is a negotiation. If you improve this one skill, you can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your lifetime earnings. Next, systems thinking. The E-Myth revisited by Michael E. Gerber. Many Americans start businesses. Most fail. Why? Because they build jobs for themselves instead of systems. This book teaches how to create processes so your business works without you constantly being there. Systems create scalability. Scalability creates wealth. Now, let's talk about financial independence. Your Money or Your Life by Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez. This book shifts your perspective from earning more to aligning money with your values. It teaches tracking every dollar, calculating your real hourly wage, and building financial independence step by step. Because wealth is not just about making money. It's about controlling your time. Next, let's talk about massive action. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. This book is simple. Whatever you think it will take to succeed, multiply it by 10. In the U.S. market, competition is high, opportunity is high, but average effort produces average income. If you want uncommon wealth, you must take uncommon action. Now let's shift into building long-term wealth through investing the smart way. A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton G. Malkiel. This book explains index investing, diversification, and why trying to time the market often fails. For the average American investor, low-cost index funds held long-term have outperformed most active strategies. You don't need to be a Wall Street genius. You need patience. And here's something powerful. If you combined the discipline from Can't Hurt Me, the systems from the E-Myth Revisited, the investing strategy from The Intelligent Investor, the psychology from The Psychology of Money, the negotiation tactics from Never Split the Difference, you wouldn't just be financially literate. You would be financially dangerous. And that's the goal. Because 98% of people live in reaction mode. They react to bills. They react to market crashes. They react to job layoffs. They react to inflation. But the wealthy, they prepare. They think long-term. They build assets. They build networks. They build systems. And they read. We still have more powerful books to cover, including ones that teach you how to think like billionaires, build unstoppable confidence, master productivity, and understand economic forces shaping America's future. The next section is where we go even deeper into strategic wealth building, the kind that creates generational freedom. Because at this point, you're no longer just learning how to earn money. You're learning how to think like the top 2%. Now we move into the next level. Because once you understand money, habits, investing systems, negotiation, and discipline, the final edge comes from how you think. Wealth at the highest level is strategic thinking. Let's continue. One powerful book that reshapes how you approach decisions is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant by Eric Jorgensen, based on the ideas of Naval Ravikant. This book teaches that wealth is built through specific knowledge, leverage, and accountability. Specific knowledge means mastering something unique to you. Leverage means using code, media, capital, or teams to scale your output. Accountability means putting your name on your work. In the modern U.S. economy, especially with the internet, leverage is unlimited. One podcast can reach millions. One product can sell globally. One piece of software can scale infinitely. If you understand leverage, you stop trading time for money and start building assets at work while you sleep. Next is a book about thinking clearly. Principles by Ray Dalio. This book is about decision-making systems. Dalio built one of the largest hedge funds in America by creating principles for handling mistakes, conflict, and risk. The lesson? Emotions destroy wealth. Systems protect it. If you build rules for investing, spending, and business, you eliminate impulsive decisions. And in finance, one emotion mistake can erase years of progress. Now, let's talk about high-level strategy. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Whether you like it or not, power dynamics exist in business, corporations, politics, and entrepreneurship. Understanding influence, positioning, and strategic silence can protect you from manipulation and help you navigate competitive environments. Wealth is not just about working hard. It's about understanding people. Next, confidence and execution. The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz. Most people don't fail because of lack of opportunity. They fail because they think too small. They aim for survival instead of dominance. They apply for jobs instead of building companies. They save pennies instead of investing aggressively in growth. Thinking big expands behavior. Behavior expands results. Now, let's talk about productivity at an elite level. Getting Things Done by David Allen. Ideas don't make you rich. Execution does. This book teaches how to organize your tasks, eliminate mental clutter, and focus on high-value actions. Clarity increases speed. Speed increases opportunity. Opportunity increases income. And here's one more that reshapes your financial future. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. This book simplifies investing for everyday Americans. Low-cost index funds. Long-term holding. Ignore the noise. Let compounding do the heavy lifting. You don't need complexity to build wealth. You need consistency. Now pause for a moment. At this point, if someone truly absorbed and applied the lessons from asset building, extreme ownership, deep focus, strategic leverage, emotional control, high-level negotiation, smart investing, bold thinking, they wouldn't just be financially educated. They would be unstoppable. And here's what separates the top 2% in America. They don't just consume information. They act on it relentlessly. They invest early. They build skills continuously. They take calculated risks. They think long-term. Most people want comfort. The wealthy choose growth. We have one final section left, and it's the most important one, because knowledge without urgency is wasted potential. And in the final part, we're going to tie everything together and shift from learning to commitment. Now, this is where everything changes, because information alone does not make you rich. Execution does. You've just been exposed to ideas from 30 plus of the most powerful wealth-building books ever written. These books have shaped investors, entrepreneurs, executives, creators, and self-made millionaires across the United States. But here's the uncomfortable truth. 98% of people will never apply them. They'll watch a video like this, feel motivated for a few minutes, maybe even buy one book, and then go back to the same habits. Scrolling, spending impulsively, avoiding risk, blaming circumstances. And 10 years later, nothing changes. The difference between the wealthy and everyone else is not intelligence. It's implementation speed. The wealthy read and act immediately. They don't argue with the lesson. They test it. They build systems around it. They track results. That's why books like Think and Grow Rich emphasize decision and persistence. That's why Atomic Habits focuses on small daily actions. That's why The Intelligent Investor teaches discipline over emotion. And that's why The Psychology of Money reminds you that behavior beats brilliance. Because wealth is not built in 1 year. It's built in one decision, repeated for years. Let me ask you something. If you read just one book per month from this list, that's 12 books a year. In 3 years, you would have internalized the financial philosophy of investors, billionaires, Navy SEALs, psychologists, negotiators, and entrepreneurs. Meanwhile, the average person would still be consuming entertainment. Now imagine applying even 20% of what you learn. You start investing consistently. You cut unnecessary expenses. You build a side business. You improve negotiation skills. You develop deep focus. You build systems instead of relying on motivation. Do you understand what that does over 5 years? That's not small improvement. That's identity transformation. And identity determines income. Here's something powerful. Most people chase money directly, but money is a byproduct. It's a byproduct of valuable skills, rare knowledge, strong networks, emotional control, long-term thinking, relentless execution. And every single one of those traits can be developed through books if you treat them like instruction manuals instead of entertainment. In America, opportunity is not the problem. Access to information is not the problem. Distraction is a problem. Comfort is a problem. Impatience is a problem. We live in a time where you can learn investing from the same principles that influence Warren Buffett. You can learn negotiation from a former FBI hostage negotiator. You can learn discipline from elite military leaders. You can learn systems from top entrepreneurs. The knowledge gap has collapsed, but the discipline gap, that's wider than ever. And that gap is where the 2% live. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Reading these 40 books will not guarantee you become rich. But not reading and not learning almost guarantees you won't. Because wealth is predictable. If you spend less than you earn, invest consistently, increase your skills, build scalable income, control your emotions, and think long-term. Mathematically, it's almost impossible to stay average. It might take time. It might take 5 years. It might take 10. But compounding does not negotiate. And the earlier you start, the more unfair the advantage becomes. So here's your challenge. Don't try to read all 40 at once. Pick one book, one principle, one action, and execute it this week. Open an investment account, automate your savings, launch that side project, negotiate your salary, cut the expense that's draining you, schedule 1 hour of deep work daily, because momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. 5 years from now, there will be two versions of you. One version says, I wish I started. The other says, I'm glad I did. And the only difference between those two people is a decision you make after this video ends. Remember this, the top 2% are not superhuman. They simply think differently. They act consistently. They delay gratification. They read. They apply. They repeat. Books are blueprints. But you are the builder. And if you truly commit to learning, applying, and compounding the knowledge from these 40 books, you won't just be richer than 98% of people. You'll be rarer, disciplined, strategic, financially free. Now, the question is not whether these books work. The question is, will you?